going to be checking out another cabinet that I've been asked about. Start off with, this is like a Batman Spawn Plus. So I'm calling it that only because it's a mixture of some things. So I'm just going to pretty much focus on this cabinet here. So I'm going to start all the way up top like I typically do. And this is a frame compilation that I put together. I'm going to just kind of pan around. So I don't know how much of a good job. Matter of fact, let me see if I can move some of these items out of the way. Some of this stuff is kind of stationary, so I'll do my best with it. But this frame is something I put together. I got this frame from Michael's, and I have a series of, typically whatever I have that's a photograph of something that's pertaining to memorabilia like Batman. Matter of fact, I'll just start with this guy right here. I did a segment on this guy here. I usually, certain figurines, I'll do a independent video, and this is Batman from actually I think the Arkham video game. And in the video, this is a Diamond Select Toys model, and I gave it like a really high mark, in my opinion, from a standpoint of a statuette, because craftsmanship and from a standpoint of how it is crafted and what you get for the standpoint of quality. You see I have it on a tilt there. The metal and the tactical gear, and to me, what's represented here as Batman and all his splendor, even associated with that video game, I just thought they had captured that perfectly down to a T. Pretty simple, very affordable. It's like 60 bucks or so. And he's on this platform that I actually raised in the back with a little item back there to give it a more dramatic sense. The photographs that are in the back, probably not gonna be able to see all of them, but I put together just kind of a little collage and got a little creative with it. But all of these are signed from a company that I generally get memorabilia from. So that's Batman Forever, Val Kilmer. So back in the 90s, it's kind of some of the stuff when I really kind of started collecting some Batman stuff. And that's kind of, I thought that movie was very underrated. I know it gets mixed reviews, but I think Val Kilmer was an excellent Batman, even though some people think he's the worst. To me, he was one of the better ones, but that's his signature there. And these things have little stamps that my mother had given me, because I collect stuff. So these things came from the post office. They were just different signature series of Batman, the Golden Age, Silver Age, and you get different variations of Batman back there. I think that's Frank Miller's Batman there. So I just put all of those in, I came up with just a creative way of displaying this. So down here you have Jim Carrey, and that's signed right there by him. Up top is George Barris, and for those who don't know George Barris, he was a movie, like one of the earliest guys in Hollywood to kind of stamp and change the vehicle game. And he was a custom car designer, and he did a lot of vehicles, a lot of them I can't even remember. That was before my time, but I respect this gangster with what he's done with putting his stamp on Hollywood. So he actually, the first Batmobile there in the TV series, that's like his signature car there that kind of introduced him into Hollywood. And some other movies that I can't even think of before my time, that he was well-known name. And that's his signature back there. I actually got this from his estate. His daughter, I think, now runs his estate. So I actually wrote into her and got this photograph. And that in the back, you see the first Michael Keaton's Batmobile there, and then the iconic Batmobile, which is here, that was given to me as a gift back in the 90s. Big fan of this Batmobile, and like I said, the movie in particular, because H.R. Geiger, by me being an artist, and forgive the dust, because a lot of this stuff has not been dusted off, but H.R. Geiger had his hand or his fingerprint from some of the earlier works of helping sketch design this Batmobile. And what's cool about it, like if I were to press this button, this shoots out. And these things, they go online. I don't know, they're kind of up in price, but it's kind of rare to find one that has a full box. I wish I kept the boxes, but I wasn't really collecting seriously back then. These come up, these guns actually come up just like the one that's in the actual movie. The cockpit lights up. There's a button in the back here, like just above the thruster cannon, and if you press that button, the whole inside of the car lights up to this iridescent, like this beautiful neon blue, which I thought was so cool. These flaps can be put together to be one wing, or they can come apart like that to be two wings. And so I didn't mean to get on this particular guy, but let me just finish up. So in the back, you have, at the time, that is The Dark Knight Rises, and that is signed by one of my favorite actors, who's Tom Hardy. And so that's him fighting Christopher Bale. And at the bottom is another signed George Barris by that TV series Batman, because of, there again, his signature stamp or the Batmobile. And that concludes, like, that's 2, 4, 5 photos in the back. So coming on down to, this is just a figurine I picked up from somewhere, I don't even remember, but it was something dirt cheap. I just thought it would be kind of cool to add up here. The book right there, which is Batman vs. Spawn. That's a crossover series between Dark Horse and DC Comics. So, and here is I thought this is so cool. I have never tried this, but it's a thermovision fugitive predator. And this actually lights up. So if you put this in the dark or whatever, this whole thing is supposed to light up and give that kind of theme there that we all are familiar with when Predator goes into kind of his camouflage mode. I got this from actually a comic shop, and here, this is Spawn, so you'll see why these are actually going to go at the bottom tier somewhere in one of those cabinets. But I just thought this was awesome because McFarlane, he does a fantastic job. I mean, being the artist, you do come up with some creative ways with some interesting line works. And I just love, this speaks to me, like anything with dragons, swords, and knights is always a big fan and a plus of me. So you see in this Mandarin Spawn here, I just love the work of what they've done on everything associated with this Spawn. Like this head cowl is just decoratively ornate and so beautiful. And it comes down to the chest armor of this particular villain or warrior-ness. And here you like, they call it, well, it's a sword pretty much. And just, McFarlane is known for his attention to detail and some of his great line work. And you get to see that not only in the artwork that he creates, but he's done a great job at crossing over to the toy world. And he's actually changed the toy world game and made a lot of the other manufacturers that were known for doing toys to step up their toy game. So that's just a look of this particular guy. Dropped a purple kind of background there since that Batman Forever movie was kind of, you know, quirky and had like a lot of neon colors. I think that Joe Schumacher was the director, so I tried to keep that thing going on there. You had that leopard pattern back there, that cheetah pattern associated with Two-Face, because Two-Face's character is pretty wild. So there's some still images there from the actual movie. And the reason why these are here is because here's the certificates of authenticity from this. There is a prop manufacturer online, and they're called Hollywood Greenbacks. So with any particular movies that may be done in Hollywood, what they do is they print out particular fake money for whatever is needed. And these are 2 bills that were used in the actual films for each film. And there's the certificate of authenticity, and there's just the films associated with. So starting at the top is the Batman Forever. That's the National Bank. That's when Two-Face and Jim Carrey had robbed the bank. And that's that particular bill, one of the bills used in that particular scene. The other is when Heath Ledger, known as the Joker, burned some of the money, and this was one of the fake money props used that was taken from The Dark Knight. And so just back up, but that's it from top to bottom. Forgive the glare, but that's what that frame looks like. Well, Batmobile looks like. And I got creative, and actually I got this stand from a particular, this is actually like a shoe display. Got pretty clever with it and said, oh, this would be kind of cool just to prop that up so you can see better the Batmobile with it sitting on this particular cabinet. That's what it looks like from top to bottom there. The actual Nightwing. And it comes off the wall. I don't feel like removing it, but I got clever with. There are two nails in the wall actually that this thing is sitting on, and it sits like a bat. What's so dope about what I love about this too is you see that same motif of how this bat wing is designed. You see that also they kept that pretty uniform and consistent with the Batmobile, all from that 90s era, that Batman Forever movie. So the cockpit of course opens, this particular top piece shoots off, and those wings actually fold down, and this can supposedly like hover and function as a boat as well. And yeah, they do have the bat boat, which I didn't like because that one was the cheesiest one out of the two. I mean, sorry, out of the three. Cuts off, I mean, you can remove that, not that it means anything. But that this is a great, it even looks like the bat symbol to a degree. So I just thought, however they came up with this particular design, they nailed it very well. So I'm gonna just pan down and then I'm gonna go across. But this book, from what I understand, is pretty hot on the market now because there's talk of Spawn and Batman. And here is Mr. Frank Miller and Todd McFarlane with this Image comic book. And man, I can't even remember when this was made, but I got it when it pretty much first came out because I just thought the crossover was pretty cool. And it's going up in price due to popularity. And once again, down here at the bottom, Batman and Predator, which I always thought was a great crossover. And this one here is from the Nightfall edition, and this is a 50th anniversary, 500th anniversary, and that's Batman of a particular, I don't even remember which age that is, but you see him there in all his splendor in the gray and blue outfit. Everyone knows this was a notorious scene or notorious event that happened in the comic books when something that's, I guess you can say it's pretty iconic to have the breaking of the bat. And that's when, and of course we saw that happen in that image back there, which was in The Dark Knight Rises, where we actually saw the live version of that happen. So here's the other side of what I have on the wall here. And starting at the top, this is a special in memory to Chadwick Boseman. And this is a Spawn edition on the Spawn uniform and some Black Panther motif there. Pretty excellent. That is number 311. And much respect to that guy, and much respect to Todd McFarlane for doing that. Pretty cool. Very first Spawn, man. This actually saturated the market. There are a lot of copies of this, but I paid $9.95 for this thing, and I got it when it first came out because we did that first horrible movie, and this here, everybody who's familiar with comics and knows Todd McFarlane, there you have it there. And that's the 50th version. So I do want to collect two of the others because I pretty much stopped collecting comic books, but there's some exceptions to the rules. So I'm a big medieval Spawn fan, or I just like medieval things in general. And you have Spawn and Witchblade, and I love me some Witchblade, man. I just thought that was a dynamite series to have these two, and that was a pretty popular comic book at the time too, back in the 90s. So to have these two together, that's pretty huge. This right here actually came from, this is the first comic book, and this actually came with the actual toy. Before I took this out of the box, that comic book actually came with this figure, and that's why I wish I never, like this was before me being a collector, but Spawn as well is a number one. And I may even have them, I'm sorry, I have that mixed up. That comic book goes with that character, this Spawn. That was the comic book that came with that figure. And this is medieval Spawn. We have Angela here. This comic book has gone up in price quite a bit and will continue. That's the first appearance of Angela, number 9. And let's see, that's pretty much it. So this Dark Horse, I love this book because you see Predator there, Sin City. This has the Predator that actually, I'm not gonna go deep in the story, but that fought the Captain, what was his name? Raphael Andolini or something, who gave the pistol to the Predator when he was killed. And then that pistol showed up in Predator 2. For those Predator fans, you know what I'm talking about. But this is the comic book associated with that. I'm a big Predator fan, so I just love that storyline. And the artwork of this actual Predator layout in here is exquisite. It is beautifully done. That is Angela and Aria, and this is from a Tower Records when they used to have record stores. For those who don't know, they used to have record stores. And once again, this is another Image comic book, and this is the Spawn books that carry over in the theme that's in this room. So now, take a look into the cabinet. I'm just gonna go over some other things just because they're here, but they don't pertain to any of the Batman stuff. And that's why I call this Batman Spawn Plus, because there's some Spawn stuff at the bottom, some Batman stuff at the bottom, but at the top, it's like, I also collect die-cast cars, and these vary, but I'm just starting at the top. That's a Porsche Carrera, and that is a Hellcat Challenger, and this is growing up. The General Lee was a big deal, and this one is actually signed by all the cast of the Dukes of Hazzard. Just picked this up from it's a Maserati. I just like the car design, that's why it's in here. Nothing really. This Ferrari is in here, and this Iron Man limited DVD set. I think when Iron Man first came out, I purchased this, and that's actually by the toy shop collectible Sideshow, and that came with the box. Some figurines from Dick Tracy the movie, no big deal. Ferrari, little Harley Davidson there, and a fossil clock. So you got Spawn down here. That's by McFarlane Toys. And I'm gonna just go through who's who that's in this cabinet. There's an alien queen back there, and there's a medieval Spawn, and there's She-Spawn in all her glory. I wasn't really planning on collecting, so I took these things out of the boxes. If I was gonna think about being a serious collector, I wouldn't have done that, but here they are in all their glory. That is a Hellboy that came with a DVD set. Iceman, I don't even remember how I got this, but I picked this up somewhere along the way. But I just thought it was kind of cool that it has that translucent look. Owlman, that came with a DVD set that came with the Crisis of Justice. And Owlman is pretty cool. And there's the Invisible Woman, Sue Richards. And to me, this toy is underrated because it's just a little piece of plastic. But if you put this thing in the freezer or the refrigerator, she will turn in, like the entire little figure will actually turn into Sue Richards. So the whole Fantastic Four costume will appear. And once she's in room temperature, she turns invisible, like this little, what we see here. So it's kind of cool. I should do that one day. It's just actually put it in there. And it still works. If I throw this in the freezer, and I can't even remember where I got this thing from. That's a Porsche Banshee car. And these are little gun cannons or whatever that came with this particular Transformer, and I don't even remember what Transformer that is. I was a Breaking Bad fan, still am. So in the back you got Jesse back there, who was notorious, and in that, somewhere in the back, if I were to pull them out, you would see the actual meth ice that they made. And this got a lot of controversy because they pulled it in Florida because the one lady didn't think that was to be peddling something, even though the drug was a fictitious drug. She made enough fuss about it for them to pull these figures off, I think, out of the Toys R Us or out of all of the toy shelves in Florida. So I thought it was kind of cool because you can't see it, but in the side down there, there's a tray of that meth that they made in the actual TV series, which I thought was just so clever because it's very covert. And you got Heisenberg back there. And so coming on down to the bottom, back on theme, it's a Batwing. And this thing, let me see if I can pull this out. Once I had these things in the cabinets, I typically don't go in them, but they have Batman Forever. I just thought it was kind of cool to have this. However this toy line was designed, this is Wing Blast Batman. I just love the whole design of it. Here you get to see an idea of how this functions and the entire toy collection line. If you were to get it, you get an idea of all of the other characters and accessories that come along with this particular series. There's that bat boat there. Look at that. I didn't see that. But yeah, I thought that was such a crappy design. I was not a fan. I mentioned these before in the other video. These are a different type of Marvel Universe. This was a more, and this is from that toy line. I'm gonna pull this out. This is from that toy line, and these were pretty, a bit more pricier than the ones that I actually have in the downstairs in the basement. So it is 10 inches tall. But man, these things were done pretty damn well because I was impressed by it. But this is actual Craven, and just look at the detail in Craven there. And this thing costs $40 or something like that, and they can go up to $80 for what I've seen. But look at the detail in that. The boxes I find reminds me of like little costume stuff we would get when we were kids, so that's what I liked it a lot. And you have like their signature people on these boxes. You got Spider-Man there, and Venom, Wolverine, Silver Surfer, there's Thor, and this is from the Savage Force, Hunter Craven. That's what the box looks like. So stuck back here as well is Blade, and that has none of this stuff has anything to do with Batman, but I'm just pulling it out since I'm already in this cabinet. But this one wasn't designed the best, but it has that same motif of where I purchased this thing from. You got Spider-Man again. These are the iconic people that have made Marvel. Iron Man, Torch, and Wolverine, of course. Venom down there. And there's Blade with this huge ass sword. It can slay anybody in half. And that's what this particular Blade figure looks like. Here's the back of the box. And that's pretty much it. So if I come on down here, I'm looking at, this is something I got from a DVD set from Blade Runner 2049, the spinner car, and I was a big car person, so growing up, these are cars I had when I was a kid, like Hot Wheel toys, and they're all Porsches, except for one Lamborghini back there. So they range from 911s, 944s, 928s, and the 959, and that's gonna conclude this video, but thanks for watching. You got any comments on anything? I'll probably be going from some other different cabinets with some other different kind of themes associated with what they are, what's in them, but just wanted to show this and give an idea of what was in these cabinets, since a few people asked about the other cabinets that I've mentioned in videos. And thank you